Okay, so this video I'm going to show you how I set up my iPads from beginning to execution. So my iPad photo booths, I don't have a hole for the home button, so I have this little ghosted button here that I use, and in that button I have access to the home button and the accessibility shortcut, which will lock down the iPad once I'm in the app. So that the guests can't get out of the app and mess with any of your settings. Alright, so how I get that running is the very first thing I do when I get my iPad is I go to settings, then I'll go to general, I'll go to accessibility, and then I'll scroll down. I want to turn on guided access. It's on now. So we'll turn that on. We'll go back, and then we will go to assistive touch. You're going to turn that on also. That's what controls that little button on the bottom corner. When you turn it on, see, now it's over here. You can move that anywhere on the screen you want. Okay, and then you're going to go to customize top level menu. And that's the buttons. So when you press on this, it's the little icons that are inside here. So what I do, when you first start it up, there's going to be a lot of icons in this area. Just go to the delete button and delete all of them. And then you're going to press the plus arrow, and then you're going to click on this, and you're going to add a home. And then you're going to do the same thing. You're going to click on the plus button, click on the top one, then you're going to go down to accessibility shortcut. Now these are the two that I use. I don't add any others, but you can. There's a lot of other menu options you can put in there. I just use these two. Alright, so we're going to go back out of that. Go out of that. Turn on touch accommodations. So I turn this on also. Okay. And then you're going to go to like your brightness. I put mine up to maximum. You're going to turn off auto lock to never. If you have it on 15 minutes, it's going to lock down in 15 minutes. It's going to turn off the iPad. Well, turn off the screen. So go to never. Also on my iPad photo boost, I don't have access to the power button on the top or the volume buttons. So people are always asking me, well, how do I turn it on and turn it off? So once you plug in power to an iPad, it'll automatically turn on. And to turn it off, you're just going to go over to General, scroll all the way to the bottom, and click on Shutdown. Okay? And it'll bring you to this screen where you can slide this to shut it down. So those are the things I set up first inside the menus of my iPad. That way I never have to touch my home button. I have it right here. Also, you can do a 5-finger squeeze. If you put all 5 fingers on your screen and squeeze inward, it'll go back to the home button. The next thing I do is, you can see my home screen is very clean. I don't have icons all over the place. So what I do is I just drag them all into one folder and slide it off to the next screen. So I'll just show you real quick. Let's say, for instance, these are all my icons. I'm just going to tap on one, hold it until they all start jiggling. And then I'm just going to drag them all into a folder. Just like this. Now, of course, I'll keep my LumaBooth down here in the main section. Just close these out. But yeah, I will keep this down here. Oops, I won't go down there. There we go. No? Well, usually it'll drag down here. I'm not sure why it's not doing it now. Anyway, so same thing. Then I'll just drag this folder over to the next screen. My fingers don't work very good on these iPads. There we go. We'll drag it over here. Maybe. Yeah. And then I'll just drag all of these folders or icons inside here. And then that just cleans it up for me, so I don't have icons all over the place. This one I probably will move over to the front screen. There we go. Okay, so that's how I keep mine nice and tidy. Okay, so that's how to set up your iPad. The next is how I set up all of my settings for LumaBooth. So let's do that now. Alright, so this next part is how I set up LumaBooth. There's a lot of options in there. There's a lot of things I don't touch. There's a lot of things I don't use. So I'm just going to go through on how I set up my LumaBooth to where it's running smoothly and it makes me money. Anything that I don't discuss, you'll just have to kind of figure that out yourself. So let's open it up. So LumaBooth. This is what the screen looks like when you first open it. Okay. Kate and Jack's wedding, January 1st, 2020. That's the event name. When you sign up for your accounts, if you're doing the photoshare.co, where it does the galleries and things, when you type in a name, it will make a new event. So when you first start this up and log into your photoshare.co and take your first picture, it'll create a folder and put all of the pictures named Kate and Jack's wedding into that folder. Now if you go to settings, let's first just go to start screen, and you change the name to something else, whatever you change the name to, it'll make a new folder. So say you're doing John's birthday party 2018, when you type that in, it'll make a new folder called John's birthday party 2018. Now say for instance you wanted to, you did 5 more events after that with different names, but you wanted to go back and add, I don't know, say you're doing his birthday party again, you can type in that same name and it'll start putting the photos back into that same folder. Hope that makes sense. But let's go back to the very beginning. So on this home screen at the very top left, you'll have settings, camera setup, print layout, and green screen. And then over to the right, you'll have lock settings. That locks down the app, but if somebody presses the home button, they can still escape the app. So that's where this comes in handy, and you do the accessibility shortcut, and then you can do guided access. And then when you do guided access, that locks it down to where you need a password to exit. Alright, we'll go over that once we get started. So let's cancel that. So inside each menu, just really quick, if you click on settings, these are all your settings to set up the app for your photo booth. Let's go back. It's camera setup. You're going to say yes. This is where you can, we'll click this so it sees the front camera. Oh, look at that, I have a balloon up there for my birthday. But this is where you can do manual settings if you want to make it darker or brighter, or, change things around. You can do white balance, same thing. You can change the temperature, the warmer or cooler. You can change the tint, so you can go in and fine tune the camera settings. I found that auto a lot of the times overcompensates, and you'll get hot spots on people's faces. Can't really see on here. And my face is not presentable enough right now. Just kidding. I'm not that diva. But it'll usually put hot spots. Doesn't look too bad here. But when I do have the camera light or the photo booth light on, it'll leave hot spots. So then I'll just go into manual exposure and I'll set that up. Okay. So let's set this back down. Let's go back. The next thing is print layout. This is where you're going to set up your templates if you're doing photo strips or 4x6s or things like that, and you can go in here and you can adjust. I actually never do 4 photos, I only do 3, so you can click here and then click on clear, take one away, things like that. You can rotate them, you can add text, backgrounds, things like that. We'll go over that in another video, how I set up my templates, but this is a good start in there. Alright, let's do done. And then you have green screen. I haven't done anything in here yet, so I can't really give you any information on this, but I'm sure it's not too difficult. But like I said, actually this is the very first time I even clicked open that green screen. I don't do green screen, so but if you do, it does do green screen, and there seems to be a lot of settings in here also. All right, and then over here is this little lock setting. If you click that, it'll say to set a PIN code. So let's just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and now it's locked. It takes away all these settings, so customers can't touch it. The only way you can bring those back up is if you click on the lock and put in your code. And now the icons are at the top left corner again. Okay, so let's go into it. So settings. Now again, I'm only going to show you how I set it up for me. You might have different opinions or different ways you do things. This is how I do it. All right. So for me, I like to do print, GIF, boomerang. Now I think this word print should be something different. I think it should say photo instead of print, because I think clients or customers or guests, they think print and it's going to print out. And for the most part, a lot of people I know that are doing these kind of apps aren't doing prints. So I think this word print should just say photo. So I'm going to say photo instead of print. So photo, it'll do a GIF or a GIF, and it'll do boomerangs. That pin code that we just did on the other screen, that's right here. You can apply a beauty filter, so that'll soften up the look of the image. Down here's the disclaimer. So if you're doing a corporate gig or something where you want people to give you permission to use their photos for marketing, advertising, things like that, this is where you'll fill that out. They even give you like kind of a template where you can just fill in your own information on there. Once that's checked on, they'll have to agree to it before it does their photos. Okay? The next screen is the start screen. So this is where you're going to name your event, things like that. So let's do an event. We're going to call it John's Test. John's, oops. I can figure out how to use this thing. John's, why is it? Sorry, hold on. John's, there we go. Test. Something like that. I am horrible at typing on iPads. That's one thing. I spend more time fixing what I type than actually typing it. T-E-S-T. There we go. You can put a subtitle, you can put a date if you want. I usually just keep that blank. Now, I always put hide all text on the start screen. So here's the deal. If you go back to settings in the start screen, see it says John Test right on there. If you go back and you turn that off, if you do hide all text on start screen, when you go back now, there's no text, which is cool because I design all of my start screens and borders and stuff in Photoshop, and I drag it over, and I don't want that text on top of it. Just go back to settings, go back to start screen. I also like to show previous photos and GIFs. So what happens is when it is off, well, first off, when it's on the top left corner where it says settings, and when it's locked, you'll have a little icon there, and you'll be able to go back and see all of your all the photos that were taken within this event. If you have it turned off, then you won't see it at all, and guests can't go back. So if you get a guest that comes by and says, "Oh, I want to reprint or resend myself a photo," you can't do it unless that's turned back on, or unless you go into the photoshare.co and redo it from there. That's a pain in the butt. And then they give you some backgrounds if you want to use any of the generic ones they have here. You can change colors, things like that. I like to add my own, so I'm going to do select image. Now, when I create them in Photoshop, I just save it and I email it to myself, and then I download it from there. So let's go to all photos, and then we'll go to my start screen, and it's going to pop up in there. Now, as you'll see, I have a box underneath the girl, and I like putting that box because the icons for the photo booth show up in that box, and it kind of draws more attention to it. You can change the icon colors. Like, watch this. If I go back to settings or back to the main screen, you see how they're white? They're kind of hard to see. So if I go back to the start screen and I go here, I can change it to any color. So because she has kind of a dark color, I'm going to go with darker also. And let's see what it looks like now. See, those stick out nicer. Okay. So that's what that does. Let's see, start screen, anything else? So that's the start screen. All right, capture screen. This here, before photo 1, I usually do 3 seconds, so people aren't just standing there. And then same with before the other photos, I usually do 3 seconds or even 2 seconds. Let's just do 2 seconds. Sometimes I go back and forth between 2 and 3. Let's just do 3 actually. We'll do 3 seconds on that too. So that when you press a button, those are the countdowns basically. Sharing screen. This is all of the sharing options. So this is like for your email, for your text messaging. I always turn off. Well, let's start at the top. If you want them to do emailing, sorry, let's go back even further. Timeout. Timeout is the time they have to do whatever it is they're going to do. So once they take the picture, it shows the preview. Right now it's set to where they have 30 seconds to figure out what they're going to do. 30 seconds, in my opinion, is way too long. I bring it down to about 8 seconds, which is still a long time. Once you get going, you'll see what I'm talking about. So I usually bring it down to about 8 seconds. Then for email, I have that enabled. You can put in your own subject, your own email, things like that. And there's a lot of other coding you can put in. You can send a test email. And then we have the SMS, so that's enabled. Same thing, you can have it say whatever you want. Here's your photo from fun photo booth parties, or John's test, or Michelle's wedding, or something like that. It could be anything. Down here, I always turn off Facebook and I turn off Twitter because I don't want people sitting there for 5 minutes trying to remember what their passwords are and everything to log in and do their thing. So I only give them the option to do email, text message. They can do the airdrop, because once it gets to their phone, then you'll have all the options. There'll be icons for every photo to do Facebook, Twitter, and they're already logged in, so once they click it, it'll just automatically go on their account. It's just a lot easier. So that's this page. This is how I have my sharing screen set up. And then you have boomerang. I just leave it as it is. Don't touch it. GIF or GIF, however you call it. That's on here. So overlays, same thing. I make my own. Once I make it in Photoshop, I email it to myself as a PNG. Let's go to all photos, and then we'll open that up. Click done, and it'll pop in down here. Now, if you have a sequence of photos that move, you can do select photos and copy and just keep adding them in there. Let me just add just a random picture. Well, I won't do it because I don't have any others that are like that. But if you had multiple ones, I can still select it and it'll add multiple images, and then you can make those move and stuff too. I normally just have one image as an overlay. All right, then you have survey. Survey is pretty cool. So if you're doing, say, corporate events or things like that, so say you're doing something for Honda, you can have it ask questions before they take their photo. So ask them, maybe what's your favorite type of car? SUV, sedan, sports. What's your favorite color? Red, blue, purple. And then now it'll capture all that data, and the salesperson, when they call you back, they already know you're looking for an SUV that's black, that has all the features, or things like that. So it'll ask a lot of questions. So you can type in your question here. You can actually have it so that they can leave a short answer, a long answer, or multiple choice. So then you can add options inside that also, and then they'll just select multiple choice. So that's what survey is. And then printing. This app will do printing. You can do it with an AirPrint. So if you have a printer that's AirPrint compatible, it'll do it through there. Most of our professional photo booth printers aren't AirPrint, so you can go down here and do a classic printer shared, which is usually you have to have a laptop or something running Windows, and then they have this download LumaBooth Assistant. Oops, I didn't want to click that. But you can download the app that goes onto the laptop that allows the laptop to speak with the iPad and do the printing through that. Let me go back. Sorry. Or you can buy the DNP WPS Pro and run it through there. So that's the printing stuff. Sharing status. So this will show you how many of everything that you sent. So how many emails were sent, how many SMS were sent, and so on. If you say, for instance, you lose internet connection at the job, it'll put them in the pending area. So I've had an event before where I've completely lost internet. I got home, I looked down at the SMS, and it said 120 pictures weren't sent. So as soon as I logged on to my internet at home, they started sending off, and everybody got their pictures. So it does store them for later, and you can resend it. Your account, this is your account, or my account. So this is, so I'm active. And then there's a help section, which brings you to support. And then there is this LumaBooth, where just kind of like an about. Okay, so let's go back. Now, so like I said earlier, I give them a GIF or a print option, a GIF option, and a boomerang. The GIF and the boomerang overlay are the same. So when you drop in down here this GIF, it'll use the same overlay for the boomerang. Now the print is up here. See where it says print layout? We're going to click on that. So that's what this is. So like I said before, I create all my stuff in Photoshop and then drag it over. So let's go over here and click on the little, looks like a mountain kind of thing. Oops. Click on that. We're going to go over here and we're going to click on the thing I created. And here it is. The size, actually, you can do it by your fingers and kind of move it, but it's easier to go down here in the bottom where it says width and height and change it to 1800 by 1200. So let's just change this to 1800 by 1200. Now you're at the right size. Now we'll just line it up. Okay. All right, so my iPad, I always have going portrait, which is up and down the way the pictures are there. Landscape is more horizontal, like the pictures and the icons are. So if you just click on one of these, and then at the bottom do rotate, it will rotate it to fit what I need. And then I just make it bigger, just big enough to fit in the hole. And these are layers, so if you click over on the right and hold down one of the icons, you can move it. So say you want that on the bottom so you can adjust things and then move it back. So sometimes I'll do that. I'll put this on the bottom, then I'll adjust this to see where I need it to be. I'll do it that way, or I'll drag this back to the top and then do it this way. So let's do the second photo, rotate. And then the third photo, which I don't see, so it's probably hiding underneath here. So let's drag this down. Yeah, here it is. So now let's drag this back up. And we will rotate that. And make it bigger. Now these icons get in the way over here. So usually that last one, I'll just do this to get it to be the right size, and then I'll drag it back over here. That, and then click done. All right, so let's do let's just run through them and I'll show you what they all look like. So let's pretend that this is our event. So we're going to lock it so guests don't see any of the settings icons. Now let's do a print first. 2, 1, and I must have the soft filter on there. 2, 1. And one more. 2, 1. Takes a second, and it shows you what it looks like. And I do have the beauty filter on that. I'll show you without the beauty filter too. So then from here, well, I have the print on. Usually that icon's not there, but oops, see, I ran out of time. because I was trying to explain it. But at the top left, you see it has the icon. So now I can go back and I can click on one of these, and then I can send it to my phone or email or whatever, or I can scan the code on the top, or I can airdrop it or anything like that. So if they press this little home button, it'll go back also. All right, let's do a GIF or a GIF, whatever the hell people call it these days. I don't even know. So yeah, actually, before we do the GIF, let's go back first, and I want to turn off that beauty filter so you can see the difference. I actually don't usually turn on the beauty filter. I don't like that soft look. So let's go to, I think it was on start screen, no, general, beauty filter. Let's turn that off. Now let's go back. Now let's do that print one more time. That's my angry chickmunk. That's what I call that. So there's that one. And again, you can click over here and send it to yourself, or send it to your email, or whatever. Or click the little home button, it'll take you back. Okay, so now let's do the GIF. I think it's all working now. So click on GIF, it'll be 3 photos. And there it is. Same thing. You can send it to your phone. You can send it to your email or whatever. All right. Now for the boomerang. The boomerang uses the same overlay as the GIF. Let's do a boomerang. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. Then you have you have all your back-end stuff too. So if you have the photoshare.co account, then you'll have a lot of options in the back end also. Let's see. Am I logged in? Maybe not. I'll probably have to log in. Alright, so it's photoshare.co, login, alright, so you'll see in here I have a bunch of events. Here's the John tests. There's 2 of them because I made a weird thing. So let's you have your events, your shares, your settings, licenses, things like that. So let's see. Let's click on our event. And you'll see over here on the left-hand side there's a bunch of options. So you have your event name, if you want different background colors, things like that. Right now it's set to public. What public does is if you're doing like a baby shower or a birthday party, I leave it on public so that the guests, they all know each other. So when they get their photo, they can also see the entire album of everybody else's photos, and they can share it and save it, things like that. If you're doing more of a corporate event or an event out in the public where people don't know each other, I would put it on private so that they only receive the pictures that they send themselves and they can't see everybody else's pictures. So you can also put a password on it, to where they have to enter a password to enter the album. I usually don't do that. Download link. So if you want the guests to be able to download all the photos, you can click that on. Or and then up here at the top you have view, link, embed, shares, analytics, slideshows, upload. So if you go to view, will show you the entire album. We had a bunch that were messed up there. And then you can select a photo and you can download it. On the bottom right, there's an icon. You have here's a link, a direct link directly to that album. So if you want to share that on social media for people to go to, they can do that. And you have an embed code. So if you want to put albums or the libraries on your website, you can do that. And now that, if I was putting that on my website, I would definitely use the privacy, the password, so that they have a password to get into each album. You also have analytics. This will show you where people are sharing it, things like that. I didn't share any yet, so, but that's where this this info would be. You can do slideshow. So say you're at a venue and they have a huge TV that's also connected to the internet. You could just go into your account, then click on slideshow on that TV, and it will do a slideshow. And then just go full screen, and it'll do a slideshow of all the photos in that album, or as they're being taken. Just like that. And what else we got? Upload. I think that's if you want to put your own photos within that album. You can do that too. I haven't really used that. Let's see, a home page. So this is what my home page looks like right now. I have my little logo and then all of my albums. So that's how it would look like if I put it on my website or if I just shared this entire thing here. And settings. Oh, this is just my general settings stuff. That's pretty much it. That's all I have to show on this. So that's how I set up my iPad. That's how I set up my photo share, and it's ready to go. I'll do a video later on showing how I design the 3 graphics that I do: the start screen, the GIF and boomerang screen, and then the photo screen. All right, thanks for watching. Hope it was helpful. Talk to you later. Bye.